Shashank Khaitan, Fatima, good to see you. How are you guys?
Hi, good.
Good
How are
to see you,
you?
Hrishikay.
Shashank, how's the tennis going, man? I know it's been a tough one through lockdown. No?
I'm dying to start again. I was in fact speaking to Lee and Kunal the other day. They're coming up with season three, and I'm
Correct.
like dying to get on the court again. But yeah, it's going to be some time, I feel.
Have you seen him play tennis, Fatima?
Nice.
It's time you do that. You should see the other sides of your director. I mean, he hits some great serves, great volleys. और अंधेरी में
Yeah,
ही है इनका tournament जब शुरू होगा तो जाना जरूर. You must
yeah,
must
बात
go
है.
and watch.
Cheerleader. Woo! Sha.
And you couldn't get a more beautiful cheerleader than that. So you should
Absolutely.
Oh,
encourage this.
oh.
Thanks, Rishi. You have already set up season three for us. Thank you.
Listen, I have to start with the fact that you have composer credits in music with John Stewart Eduri and also a lyric writing credit. And I'm like, dude, is this the first time those roles have happened to Shashank Khaitan? You want to talk to me about that, please?
I love writing of any sort, and when I was wanting to create a song for this, we said, let's just go with our instinct. And I actually, John Stewart Eduri is someone I really trust. He's done all the background score of all my movies. And we were just actually jamming on the background score of the film. And we started creating something. He came up with one tune, I came up with another. We kind of jamming. And that's how the song was born. And we just started writing it instinctively as we were writing. My idea was to take the theme of Majnu and kind of say that how can I put it in a very old school, but if I can use the reference correctly, in a very Vishal Bharadwaj way.
Ah,
I think in this milieu he is God when it comes to music and background in this kind of a world. So we were chatting, so I was just throwing ideas, which later we would have gone to another music composer and writer with. But in the process, we just cracked something which was very exciting, and we had a lot of fun, yeah, creating the song. And it was done during the pandemic, in fact, in 2020. And my younger sister sung the song.
Oh,
what? Oh,
Uh,
wow.
yes, she's a trained singer. She's not a professional, but I just actually sent it out to her for a sample. It's all done digitally
Online.
and online, and she sang it. She sent it. It was sounding good. We put it together. It just sounded good, and that's it. That's the song.
Amazing.
so basically it is your debut. So, you're a prolific producer director. I know you're going to clock 100 films someday. You're going to look back at IMDb and say this is your debut as a co-composer and lyric writer. Is that it?
I hope so. Yeah, I have written part lyrics in Abdi Sharma as well.
Okay. Yeah, so it's not really a debut, but this is you on your own.
But something which I'm very proud of. I think we made a good song, so I had
Yeah.
fun.
Fatima, Lipakshi is a fearless character because she has nothing to lose. मतलब जो खोना था, she feels खो दिया. Is that a good assessment of the character? And you want to just add to that to let people know?
Yeah, I think that is a good assessment in a sense because उसकी दुनिया बहुत छोटी है, बहुत लिमिटेड है, एक ही जगह पे है, एक ही घर में है, वहां से वो कहीं बाहर जाने वाली है नहीं, उसका कोई और रास्ता है नहीं कहीं और जाने का. So that is her world and it's a very limited world and उसका मैं एकदम ब्लैंक आउट हो गई. मैं आपका क्वेश्चन भी भूल गई हूँ.
It's okay.
Basically, मैं ये जानना चाहता था, मतलब she's fearless because she has nothing to lose. कुछ लोग क्या होता है ना कि जिंदा दिल होते हैं, they are fearless by birth, but some people become fearless because they're like सब कुछ तो खो चुके हैं यार, आगे क्या करना है.
हाँ, so you are right about that because उसका, she now she's been put in a position and a situation जहाँ से वो निकल नहीं सकती है, जहाँ से कहीं और उसको रास्ता नहीं दिख रहा जाने का. So she wants to make the most of it. She wants to get her husband's attention, her husband's love, and I think that is the only thing she knows how to do, and she's figuring it out. ऐसा नहीं है कि उसका कोई एजेंडा है या कुछ नेगेटिव एजेंडा है. She's just trying to get love and find love from her husband. So maybe that is the reason why she is so fearless.
Shashank, I ran through all the stories and I was very moved by AjeebDaastaans. And often when cinema moves me, I try and feel what is the overlying emotion that I felt. And I felt through it all, these are tales of betrayal. I mean, it's fine, it's Ajeeb, there's love, there's this, that, but would I be right in saying that? I mean, is betrayal something that was on your mind even when you were writing it? Somebody is always betraying somebody.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely. It was, I think, definitely on my mind. And I think when I also look back at all the four films, what you said is very true. All the stories have that communication. And, it's what I think makes all the four stories beautiful is that they're so human. It's not anything done in a very scheming way. It's all done very naturally. And it kind of almost shows that as human beings, we are so flawed. And I think that betrayal is part of those flaws. We are trying to find love. We are trying to find someone to lean on. We are trying to find dependence and independence, if you can kind of put it together. We want to be independent in our and fly high, and yet we want to find love, which is the definition of dependence. So I think all the four stories kind of communicated. And I think for Majnu, what you said is so true, that Lipakshi's character is fearless because she feels she has nothing to lose. And then you have Bablu Bhaiya's character, who is trapped in his own world, in his own patriarchy, in his own so-called world created for him. And then you have Rajkumar Mishra's character, who in this world is the insider, who then becomes the outsider and wants to become the insider again. So I think all these kind of multiple emotions is what makes Majnu exciting, and what you said correctly, AjeebDaastaans so exciting.
That's very beautifully explained. Fatima, Arman is a relatively new actor, unlike Jaideep Elawat. Jaideep is a manja hua khiladi, harfan maula, like we'd say, a master of his craft. I want to know your experience of working with Arman. What do you think of his performance in Majnu? And your scenes have come out beautifully, but just your reactions on this actor.
मैं भी कुछ ज्यादा मंजी हुई नहीं हूँ, मैं भी न्यू ही हूँ, तो who am I to judge somebody's performance? I think वो मोमेंट में अगर रियल फील होता है, वो मोमेंट में करेक्ट फील होता है, वही इम्पोर्टेंट होता है. एंड सही आया है या गलत आया है, वो तो शशांक मॉनिटर के पीछे बैठ के बोलता था कि बेटा आप फेक कर रहे हो, नाउ फील इट. So I think I really enjoyed working with Arman. बहुत ही sweet लड़का है, बहुत ही प्यारा है. I enjoy doing scenes with him. Very comfortable working with him. So उसमें new old मंजावा, I think वो सब important नहीं होता, क्योंकि क्या आपको वो moment मिला है? Have you felt the moment? And I think with Arman, when I was doing scenes with him, I was feeling it. So I think for me that is important.
Nice. And Shashank, powerful men have powerful secrets. There's no doubt about that. And Jaideep looks powerful on screen. I mean, we don't want to give away any spoilers, but was that one of the primary reasons you cast him? I mean, the fact that he's a great actor is there always. But when you sat with Mukesh to cast this part, you don't have to take names, but were there other people you thought of, or was it instantaneously Jaideep? Talk to me about that.
Right. Of course, there were people we discussed. There were people who were hesitant to do the film as well. I initially never went to Jaideep because Jaideep is a very dear friend of mine as well. I've known him for years. And I almost thought he's going to tell me that, why have you come to me with this role? You've never come to me with anything else, and this is the first one you choose. But after a lot of deliberation, and then finally, I realized something when I was casting this film, that people need to understand the insecurities of these characters. Because they are not urban insecurities, they are very rural insecurities. They're very two-tier India insecurities. So I actually then kind of turned my gaze away from the tried and tested, and I said, you know what, I'm just going to take a punt at it. I'm going to go and approach Jaideep and see how it goes. Jaideep read the script and then for 2 days ignored me. And then he called me up and said, Bhai, aapse milna hai. I said, Aajao bhai, kabhi bhi aajao. And then he came in, and his reaction was so beautiful because he just came in and said, I don't feel that I am good enough to do this part. And I was like, you are not good enough to do this part. You are good enough to do any part this country has to write. But he said, no, because it's so vulnerable and I don't want to make fun of the insecurity.
Yeah.
So you tell me, how are you going to treat this? So then I kind of explained to him the treatment of the movie. I kind of took him to the sur, what we call of the film, that nothing in the film is a caricature. Everything is actually very raw and real. In fact, it's more real than all the other films I have made, which are so-called commercial real. But this is even strapped off that and said, I don't want you to act anything. I want you to feel everything. And I think once he was convinced of that, he just kind of came on board. And then to get Arman on board to play Rajkumar Mishra was also very interesting, because I wanted someone who is very innocent and vulnerable who could play this part. I never wanted someone who is going to immediately look chalu, is the word if I can use it. I wanted someone who instinctively looks very vulnerable, very soft, almost someone who is completely harmless. So I think for me, the casting came about beautifully. And then the characters just came alive post that.
Fatima, she has that akkad, Lipakshi, but she also wants to shake up Jaideep's character. Janbooch ke, uksav him. Is there any scene that you found very, very difficult to do in Majnu? Something that you struggled with? I mean, you're a natural actress. I know you live in the moment and all that. But something that, you had to wrap your head around.
The character itself, काफी मेरे comfort zone से बाहर है. अपनी sexuality को embrace करना I always like कोई compliment भी देगा ऐसे सब करती हूँ. So I know
I've embarrassed you so many times. The last 2 interviews, that's why I said I'm not going to start with haunting beauty, dimple beauty, all that stuff, because she is very embarrassed.
I get awkward. What do I'm like? Yeah. So I am that kind of person. So it was quite a journey for me personally also, because to embrace that you need strength. To embrace your sexuality you need strength, and I think through this character and through her journey I found that strength. So for me the character as a whole was difficult, but at the same time it liberated me from my fears and my notions of being confident with my own sexuality. So it was very interesting for me.
Lovely. And if that one character had so many layers in it, the story has even so many more layers to it, Shashank. Were there elements you struggled with? Any writer's block while writing Majnu?
Actually, no. This story kind of flew very instinctively for me. I knew my 3 characters right from the beginning. I think the only thing which I did with this is I actually first wrote 3 characters. I wrote their beginning, middle, and end. And I wrote their motivation, that what is the need of these individual characters. And then I started just placing them in my world. I actually, for me, the story came very naturally. All the conflicts came very naturally. Right from the names of the characters to what they do as characters came quite freely and naturally till the very end. In fact, I didn't take too much time to write this story. So for me, I think just the fact that I was making a film which had no commercial pressure was so liberating as a filmmaker, as a writer, that I was like, boss, I'm just going to have fun writing this movie. I'm not going to worry about Gana Ka Bane Wala.
But I miss that song, Shashank.
Huh? Yeah, but see, what am I without music? But I said, so I think just when you are free mentally, you can just express yourself so much more creatively. So I think that kind of the process came through very nicely for me here. And I think I in fact even don't call it a short film medium. I just call it another medium. I feel let's just call it a story said in 30 minutes rather than 2 hours. I don't think so. A lot of long films have the depth the AjeebDaastaans has. So let's not even call it short films. I think the best thing to say is 4 very good stories, and hopefully stories which will satisfy you emotionally.
They're very well put. I'm just curious to know, there's a reference of Barabanki. I mean, people normally, when they write stories about the UP milieu, they use Lucknow, Allahabad, Mirzapur, Wasapur, things like that. I find it very fascinating that a Shashank Khaitan story would have a Barabanki reference. Only people who've been in that belt, who've gone to Lucknow, know it's a small suburb on the way to Sultanpur and things like that. So where did that come from, man?
Correct. I actually was an assistant on Ishaqzadeh as well as an actor on Ishaqzadeh. So we shot in Barabanki and Hardoi both, and Lucknow. So all with these
Habib,
3 places, and in fact all the 3 places are with Habib Faisal sir. So all these, I had great fun in Barabanki and Hardoi. It actually felt like a different universe, to be really honest, when I went there. So when I chose it, of course, we couldn't go and shoot in Barabanki. We shot the film very much in Lucknow. But having seen Barabanki and having seen the characters, I felt we could create that world very
Beautiful. Okay, my last question is to both of you. I hope you've seen Fatima. Have you seen the other stories? Have you seen?
नहीं
अरे
नहीं
यार.
मैंने तो अपनी भी
I
नहीं
have.
देखी.
Chalo, koi nahi. I mean, Shashank can answer this, but I want you to talk about which one you're looking forward to, or which ones. Considering the stellar cast, the writers, the directors. So Shashank, let's talk a little bit about the other ones. Which stories in particular did you like, and your reasons?
I actually liked all the other three stories because they're so unique from each other. Whether it is Khilona, whether it is Ankahi, or whether it is Gili Pucci. I mean, just the titles are so interesting. I mean, just these titles are so interesting. And what I loved about all of them is that they are rooted films, and the so-called politics of the movies are so original. They are the emotion they leave you with is so beautiful, and yet when you see all of them, you don't get this sense of this conventional good guy, bad guy. You almost get the sense that they're all human characters. They are all human beings dealing with their own conflicts, and everyone feels justified and right. Everyone feels that, yeah, this is the correct thing. So I think it's beautifully come together. I couldn't be happier with the cast we have managed to put together collectively. It's a happy coincidence and accident, but I think all for the best.
Yeah, and it's wonderful. I mean, guys like Raj and all, who you've kind of mentored in a lot of ways. You produced, there's Kaios. This is really a wonderful bunch that Dharmatic and Netflix and you guys have got together. It's beautiful. So, I mean, and look at the cast of the other stories. I know, Fatima, you said you still consider yourself, a newbie, still finding her feet in the industry. But this is a combination of somebody who's like a Jaideep or a Coco Konkana, Shefali, and then a fair bit of new characters. So, what are you looking forward to see the others and yours?
जब मैंने ट्रेलर देखा क्योंकि मुझे दूसरी कहानी के बारे में कुछ भी नहीं पता था. There was this adrenaline that I felt that I want to watch what is happening in each and every story because it's also intriguing and I'm a fan of all of these actors. मतलब शेफाली जी तो मतलब Delhi Crimes के बाद I was like, oh my god, I'm in love with this woman and Konkana and Jaideep and everybody यार. तो अभिषेक बैनर्जी इतने अच्छे actors है. So I think just for the star cast and just for the filmmakers and even the titles, I am really excited to watch all the other films to see because मुझे पता है कि हमारी फिल्म में क्या है. So I want to see कि वो सब कहानियां और वो directors और writers ने वो complexities कैसे दिखाई है और कैसे बताई है.
Lovely. Interviews should be the right size so that neither the subject or the interviewer starts lagging. So I think this is the beautiful right size. Thank you for your time, Shashank. Thank you, Fatima.
Thank you,
Wonderful
Hrishi.
chatting with you guys. And everybody, go and watch AjeebDaastaans. I mean, fantastic stuff. You're going to come out with a mix of beautiful emotions. Cheers. Stay safe and healthy.
Thank you, Hrishi. Please take care. Bye.